Very good evening, everybody. Almost no technical hiccups at all tonight. It looks great, that opening screen, doesn't it? I feel like we're in the big time. I thank you for anybody who's joining us tonight. We've got a great show. I'm joined with Shane and Ollie. Ollie, our special guest, has come on board with us tonight. Shane and Ollie, how are you boys?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Job.
Yeah, pretty good. Thanks, Scott.
What's that? Sorry, mate?
Pretty good. Excited.
Good.
Talking about the rep footy. It's going to be good.
Yeah, we got lots. It's a big show, really. I mean, we kind of, by rights, we should. Do we have to cover round 14? Or have we already done that?
No, we did that last week. No, we can move on. We can just talk about the rep stuff and then look ahead to round 15, I reckon, Corey.
Yeah, well, there's plenty to talk about with reps, of course. For those who have been living under rocks, we had a massive round of representative football, both juniors and seniors, actually. It was a big culmination of representative football right across the board for AFL HCC. And, of course, the juniors had their carnivals down in Coffs Harbour and some great stuff, great news coming out of the carnivals down there. But the one that we're interested in talking about here tonight is, of course, the seniors, which was, by all accounts, I believe, a resounding success, I have to say. I thought it was a wonderful day, a great event, some tremendous football on display. We saw 4 regions all up, of course, but our region, of course, the AFL HCC, came up against its counterpart on the other side of Sydney, down south, and the south coast in both men's and women's, with a couple of mixed results, but 2 tremendous games of football. They were just so enjoyable. And, of course, Northwest and North Coast battled it out in the middle in the women's, which was fantastic. Really good day. The jury was a little out for me from the beginning. We'll talk about that a little bit soon. But I was so thrilled to see the event itself go off pretty much without a hitch. I think everyone looked like they enjoyed themselves. We got great footy, and certainly something that we can expand on in the years ahead. I think it was, for me, I would like to say it was a wonderful return back to representative football at senior level, and sort of along the lines of the way it should be, I think. So I really enjoyed it. How did you guys find it?
Well, I was a little bit worried with the wind, Corey. As I drove up through Cardiff and Edgeworth, I saw a bloke holding a lead, and it was that windy his dog had blown off it. I'm like, Jesus, this is going to be a tough day. But it turned out to be a really good day. And as you said, it was a really successful day too, I think. There was some great footy was played. Was it a
2-hour wear?
It could have been a 2-hour wear.
A 2-hour wear.
Yeah. There was good spirit showed from all 4 teams, or all 4 regions that were participating, and especially it felt like that Hunter Central Coast versus South Coast rivalry really stepped it up another notch as well, didn't it? And the women that we spoke to after the game were certainly a little bit bruised after the loss, and pretty keen to get back again next year and get one over Hunter Central Coast. What do you think, Ollie?
Yeah, look, I thought it was a great day. There was just three big games, and I believe in the women's game, the Hunter Central Coast, it came right down to the wire, and I think they ended up just getting run over a little bit, but that was okay. I still thought they fought very well, and the scoreboard didn't necessarily reflect the effort they put in. I thought it was amazing. So,
yeah, they got probably every right to feel a little jaded in the end. I think they were very, like, the girls are always, they're just a happy bunch of footballers in women's footy. It's always great to see, win, lose or draw. They're always beaming with smiles. But their performance, our girls, was tremendous. They played their hearts out all day. They led the entire match and just looked like they had physically the edge over the top of the South Coast, who brought a really fast running game to Pasterfield Oval. And they were able to sort of resist everything, but they kept on coming, the South Coast girls. They looked like they'd been preparing for this for a little while. And by all accounts, our girls, about 4 weeks, I think they'd been training, from what I heard later on after the match. So with a little bit of preparation, maybe not quite as much as what the South Coast girls did. And in the end, they were able to just get that goal or 2 in front and sort of steal it, really, more than anything. But look, full credit to the South Coast girls. They had a game plan and they kept at it, and they kept, putting the pace on and trying to get past our defence, and in the end just got the score that they needed to get up over the top. But our girls can certainly hold their heads very high. They were tremendous. They worked well together as a team. They had a great game plan. Kate Hanley did a wonderful job pulling that side together. And I believe they had like 60 girls training. Was it? Yeah, 60 girls trained in the beginning to trial for reps, which is that's wonderful, isn't it? Don't you reckon?
Yeah, it's great that to have that many of the women just really keen to get in and play rep footy. It's what you want to see, and I think it helps. It helps those that get in because they know that they are part of that sort of select few that have really had to work and push towards it. I think it makes them go that little bit harder and really put in for the region, which is great.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, did you get to see the girls' game, Ollie?
Yeah, I was there for last 2 quarters of it, and as I said, came right down to the wire, so it was nice to see. Yeah.
Yeah, so you got to see the real exciting bit, the thrilling, or the disappointing bit.
Yeah.
Well, listen, a loss probably doesn't hurt it. It was, I believe, before going into the game, we were 2-0 up against South Coast. So the women had Hunter Central Coast had won twice, and South Coast hadn't. So that gives them. If they move within one of tying things up, and so I think next year becomes that little bit more spicier, doesn't it? With a potential season tying thing on the line.
Yeah, for sure. Like the stakes go up after that, and that's exactly what we want. It's like we want to have like a really healthy rivalry between the two regions. It looks like that's going to be sort of the way of things with rep footy now, especially now that we sort of reignited senior men's, which of course missed out last year, unfortunately. But the senior women's has been going pretty strong. It continues to build year in, year out, just like the women's competition does across the board. And some of the performances were just stellar. Some of the individual efforts in particular were really, really pleasing. And more younger players coming through into senior footy. They got a chance to try their hand at representative footy. But I just love that the women's enthusiasm for their sport right now. It's still so new and fresh, and we're still to a great extent getting used to it as part of the football landscape. But their enthusiasm and they're just the way they get behind these things is just tremendous. I was stunned. I found out I was very lucky to have a chat with our 2 medalists, and we'll chat about that shortly too. And of course, Jasmine Wellings was the medalist, the Nadine McBride medalist for the day, which is a wonderful honour, and that certainly wasn't wasted on Jasmine talking to her. She knows exactly what that means, and it was just a wonderful nod to a tremendous young lady. But just hearing that they had 60 girls turn up to do the trial training and just try out for what representative football might be is so great. I just love that getting behind it that much and following on. And if anything, it's probably a massive testament to some amazing work that Nadine McBride did with women's representative football for a number of years and pulled it all together. I think we're seeing a flow-on effect from that now, and I'm sure she's watching from the probably best seat in the house and smiling with pride with what she's been able to create, because it really was. It was inspiring watching the women's footy in the representative carnival on the weekend. I was just absolutely thrilled.
Yeah, and I tell you what, if you want hard jobs, wasn't picking the Nadine McBride medal a hard job. I think you could have split it across 4, 5, 6 different players. It was a great team effort by all of them. Obviously, Jasmine getting the nod there in the end. I think we had Eliza handpicked from up in our box, and the other people I spoke to were giving me different names here, and here, and it was a very even result from a lot of our players.
Well, it was. It could have gone well. Who did you like, Ollie? Was there any players in particular you thought was standing out in the half that you saw?
Look, I saw Amy Pittman scrapping hard in the back line, pretty good, trying to belt it forward. Yeah. So I thought, I like the look of her. She was doing well. So I would have thought she was a contender. But as you said, boys, I think it deserved to go to Jasmine Wellings. She was amazing to watch.
Yeah, of course. Amy Pittman, the coach of the Warners Bay Bulldogs, where Jasmine Wellings has won 5 straight best and fairest since she started playing. Can you believe that? She's got that's 5. Incredible player. And she's great too for the game. She's very passionate about developing the game in the right way too, and really enjoy that from her. Eliza Hand she was brilliant. And I say this quite a bit now, but Eliza Hand's got the best surname for a commentator in the game, just about. We could just use that. There's so many colloquialisms. It's brilliant. I was also thought Beck Ives was a great. We haven't seen her play. She plays for the Wyong Lakes side, I think, which is not Cup. But she's certainly good enough to be playing Cup. And let's hope that the Wyong team go up into Cup next year, because if they're being led by somebody as good as what she was, then that's certainly something to look forward to for Wyong Lakes. But she impressed me. It was great all round, wasn't it? There was great performances everywhere. Brooke Turner was good again. So we're going to see some good stuff from those players for the rest of the year and for the future, I think.
Yeah,
do you have the score on your, Shane? What was the final score?
Well, you know what, Chop? I was literally just looking it up on Play AFL there as we were talking, and there's no jolly scores in there. So I was hoping to get one there and have a look, but I can't. I know it was a late goal to South Coast that got them over the line by 5 points, I think. So we were a point up heading into the last couple of minutes, and then obviously South Coast kicked that goal, so we would have gone down by 5 points.
Yeah.
I was trying to find that. Have you got the result, Ollie?
Yeah, I do have the result. Yeah. Hunter Central Coast. 3-3-21 to 4-2-26. So 26-21 was the final score.
There you go, 5 points. You were bang on there, Shane. That was well, how about that? So close tussle, wasn't it? The game itself, I was talking to Jasmine and Luke Flack, the men's medalist, of course. We'll get to Luke when we talk about the men's game. What a difference in the style of play. And I asked them a question whether they noticed it as well. I thought the two games were played in a very similar fashion, and our men and women seemed to have a very similar game plan or match structure and strategy. And so did the South Coast. Like they burst out of the blocks, and they had this really fast-paced running game that was just constantly trying to break through our defensive lines and our midfield pressure on the ball carriers and stuff like that. And for the most part, both the sides, men's and women's, but concentrating on the women's game, they were physically able to just repel all of this fast break attack that the South Coast side were bringing. They're very energetic and slowly sort of build into a bit of a rhythm themselves. But they were just relentless, the South Coast girls. They kept going and going and going and never sort of threw in the towel. And that's what got them over the line in the end. They eventually were able to break that. We were very physical. I thought our girls were very, very aggressive on the ball carrier, very physical, really good, really controlled, of course. But
and some great tackling pressure from our guys as well. Bethany Wood and Brooke Turner is from memory too, with some almost match saving what we thought were going to be match saving tackles there at the time to stop that fast run. It was a very physical game, but it was good to see.
It was, wasn't it? And then of course we were able to do a little bit on the rebound as well. So like Sarah Halverson is an amazing footballer. She's was able to sort of direct a lot of that traffic and get a lot of rebound football happening straight back through the middle, and we got some fast movers through there too. Of course, and I just thought that it was great, and it was funny how the men's game seemed to emulate very similar styles. A different result, of course, but it was just interesting. And I wonder whether that's an indication of where we're at football-wise, whether that's something indicative of our particular region, because we were a little more clinical on the rebound. We were a little bit more thoughtful with what we were trying to do, getting it back into our forward line, but we were more rebounding. We were repelling that attack and then mounting something in rebound, as opposed to the South Coast men's and women. They were both all, let's go, bang, pull the trigger every single time. They took off, and it certainly cost them in the men's game, and the wind didn't help, of course, but in the women's game, because they kept at it, eventually got them the breakthrough. So I thought that was an interesting thing that I picked up between the two games.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think one of the most exciting things about representing football is seeing like all those big household names, really good players, all come together and like the best of the best sort of thing, if you know what I mean. Like it's really good just to see them all work together. There's no hard feelings, I guess. They've all just got to work together to get that win. So they only play one match and then that's it for another year. So they've got to do their best and work together.
Yeah, well, hopefully we can do something about that, because, talking to Jazz and Luke and Flacky on during the week, it's a bit of an anticlimax for them. This little build-up, it happened all in a really short period of time, and then all of a sudden one game and it's all over. And by their reports, and it certainly looked like it from the sidelines, everyone enjoyed themselves so much that they're all just a bit sad that it was over so quickly. Yeah. So I think, it could be the start of a snowball effect, and maybe we could get something a little more expansive. We come up with a couple of ideas in our chat on Wednesday night. I think particularly the idea of maybe doing this carnival through the course of the year, like they've done, with a little bit more of an extension with how long they train and selecting the sides a little earlier. And then maybe, I don't know whether we'd be good enough. I imagine we would. If they're able to make a combined side between South Coast and Central and AFLHCC, they might be able to do the carnival that they have out at Canberra at the beginning of the year, the pre-season carnival, maybe something like that. So I think, it's between all the players that we saw on the field in both men's and women's, in those two regions, there's some wonderful footballers out there. There's definitely some sublime, performances and some talent. Maybe we could combine and send a side out to that competition and play against the likes of AFL Sydney and Canberra and stuff like that. It's a big ask.
Be good to see, wouldn't it? Yeah. Anyway, we better keep moving on to the men's. I'm going to put Ollie in the hot seat now, and hopefully he's got a score for me, because I can't remember what the margin was in the men's game. I know it was a fairly hefty margin. Have you got a score for us, Ollie?
I do have a score for us, and it was 78-31. So 12 goals, 6 to Hunter Central Coast, and 4 goals, 7 behind to the South Coast. So 78 to 31.
Is that 37-point or 47-point win?
47-point.
47 point. So very good.
Yeah. Good game, Chop. I liked it from the start. I thought we came out of the blocks with that Max King goal, which, watching it back again, I've watched it a couple of times during the week, actually, because it was a really, it's a fairly high pressure game. It's not a grand final, but it's, you're still carrying the pride of your region on your back. And the way Max sort of grabbed it, ran with it, stuck it on the boot, and slotted that first goal through, it felt like that was the momentum starter we needed. If you wonder if South Coast got the first goal and things flipped the other way, what would have happened? But it felt as though from that moment onward, we weren't going to be beaten.
Nah, bang on. It was a little bit against the play, a little bit too, if I remember rightly. South Coast burst out of the blocks. They were just explosive, and they had it down in their end. I think they got a couple of points, didn't they? If I remember rightly.
Yeah.
They kicked a couple of behinds, and if they hadn't gotten one of those goals, it could have changed the tide altogether. And we'll go into that a little bit in a minute, because we kind of went against the play. And Max King, far out, that was a sizzler. It was an absolute sizzler. He was going at full pace, and I think he kicked it from just inside 50, and he was pulling away from the opposition, who were just flat out trying to get him. I think he had like 2 players coming in to try and clean him up. It reminded me of that. Have you seen that scene in Jurassic Park where the velociraptors are coming through the field and they're trying to catch it? And they're running through the middle. Reminded me a bit of that, except instead of the velociraptors catching the person, like Max King just took off. And of course, Max King is the most amount of king you can get, maximum king. And he was an absolute king with that one. He just sailed through and kicked a beauty. And it did. It changed the momentum.
Yeah, it did. Bit like in the women's game, picking the best on ground was a hard one there, and Luke Flack, a deserved winner. You could have given that to, you could have given it to Max King. You could have given it to, who did we have picked? We had once again, there's another 3 or 4 players you could have quite easily given that to. Such was the team effort we saw on Saturday.
I think what Flacky was able to set up from half back was massive, and he's been doing that as best he can with KV all year, of course, and him and Brandon Lloyd in particular work together beautifully in that regard. He was on looking back on the replay, I think he was hands down the best for 4 quarters, and he was silky smooth, he was super quick, and just a great guy, Flacky. I've been lucky enough to coach him in representative football in under 17s, I think a couple of seasons in a row. And got to know Flacky quite well, and I've got a huge amount of respect for him. He's a great future big leader, I think, at that club, and he just loves his club at Killarney Vale. He's very proud of his region as well, too. He just exemplifies what we want in our representative football players. But he led just a wonderful group of young blokes that, I'll be honest, not being too controversial here, it could have gone any way, the rep footy, like leading into it. And there was a lot of people, I'll talk about them in a second, a lot of people in particular who need to say thanks. We need to thank for the effort that they did to be able to pull that together, because those boys had the best attitude, the best spirit, was exactly what you want to see. And they didn't have rep footy last year, and I reckon that's probably irritated a few people along the place. It maybe even cost us a few people in the side, long and short of it. But the boys that represented us did it with such distinction that if everyone's not on board the rep train next year, then we don't need them. We don't want them, because those boys were just fabulous from start to finish.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, and guys that have, you talk about playing for your region. Obviously, the Big Dig's new to the region. He's only been here for 14 games of footy, yet he put that jumper on and, represented it with pride. And that's the sort of stuff you want to see. And youngsters, I mean, how good was Joe Harrison? I mean, he would have come close to winning best on ground as well. Young guys, older guys, everyone that pulled on the jumper was 100% committed. And it wasn't just the guys pulling on the jumper. And I reckon you're going to want to go and say some thank yous in a second. And I reckon maybe the coaching box might be where you're about to go, Chop. What did you think of Nathan Harkness's game on the weekend?
Oh, you're brilliant. It was great. Like, Nathan had every right to be a bit disenchanted with representative football and, the support that he got. Like, he put in a fair bit of effort last year. And at the last minute, the rug got pulled out from underneath him. So where the fault lies there doesn't matter. The fact is it didn't happen. And a lot of people were disappointed about that. But it was a bit of a shambles and had been for a couple of seasons in men's footy in particular. And it really needed to be reinvented and reignited. And it was going to take something special. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't sure whether it was going to work again this year. I just felt a little bit like we didn't have anywhere near enough promotion for it. And that was, if I've got one gripe, it was the crowd. The crowd was very small for the quality of game that we had. We should have had more people there. And I think that's a lack of promotion. We need to get more information out about it earlier and maybe select sides earlier, get invitations out earlier. But this is all teething things that we can work through next year. These are all things that we can learn from this year. And even talking to a few of the players, they would prefer it to have a little bit more of a process than what the men's did. The women's, Kate did a great job with the women's. She was able to get the names out a bit earlier, and they were training from 4 weeks out. And I don't know if they had an open call with the women's or not, but that was great, and it worked well for them. The boys only had 2 training sessions before there were Tuesday and Thursday before the game. Not ideal, not the best preparation. I don't think announcing the sides Thursday before the game or Friday before the game is anywhere near enough time. I think the sides, we need to give them a bit more exposure and a bit more promo and pump it up, and maybe a couple of weeks earlier so they can really get to know each other and make something a bit more out of it. And hopefully we'll get a committee together next.
Oh, don't tell me we've lost Corey.
Oh.
We might have lost Corey. So while we wait for Corey to rejoin us, Ollie, I know you were boundary umpiring that middle game, the North Coast Northwest, and you would have got to see a little bit of the men's when you came out of the change rooms. What impressed you about the way the men played?
The way, I feel like the one good thing about pass the field is the width of it. And the way that the men used the width of it, I saw them going across the field diagonally multiple times. I like the pace at which they move the ball. They don't really give the opposition a chance to get a handball or a smother in. They just really clean with their ball possession, and that's what I liked about that. But I think what costed South Coast was that I think at quarter time they'd kicked 6 behinds. They hadn't got a goal. Now, it was pretty bad wind that day, but I think there goes Chop. But yeah, I think if they could have converted, I reckon it would have been a bit closer. So
yeah, and they had the wind in that first quarter too. They were going with the breeze. They needed better than 6 behinds. Yeah. You're spot on, Ollie. You've picked that real well. So that was it. And then Max King gets the goal, and suddenly it's game on, and then we just ran away with it. And really, after about halfway through that second quarter, that from a scoreboard point of view, you never felt that South Coast were going to get back in it. Such was the dominance of the Hunter Central Coast team. It was a real dominant display. I don't know whether Corey's he must be having internet troubles or the like. We might finish up the regional game review there now and look ahead, because as much as I love regional round, and I really, really do, it is a very exciting time of the year. We're getting into that wind into finals, and that is a very exciting time of year as well.
Yes.
So we've got a big round 15 ahead of us, women's and men's. We're going to try and change up our format a little bit this week and not spend too much time on the games we're not covering. So Ash has been very keen on making sure we try and bring this show down a little bit so we don't end up running for way too long. So we're going to have a bit of a look at the week ahead, and then I want to get your thoughts on the match of the round, which is going to be an interesting one. And we've got Corey just trying to dial back in again now. Are you there, mate? Can you hear us?
I don't know what's happening, mate. I'm dead set. I've got spies around here, and then just when I'm about to say something important, they come in and they just rob me of it.
Well, we were about to. Well, we kind of had moved on from the rep. Do you have a final thought on the rep game? Because we're going to get into round 15 because we're excited about what that has on offer.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, my final word on it is a wonderful, successful day, and congratulations to Emily and her team, Emily Brown of the AFL HCC, for pulling off a great event. I'll encourage our admin, our league, to listen to the ground, listen to the voices at the ground level about what they felt worked and what didn't work, because we've got opportunity here now to reset. And I'll use the words that Flacky actually used. It felt like a reset for them, because he's done a bit of played reps quite a bit over the years. And I think the energy inside that room was just wonderful at halftime with the boys. And I think they can really make this into something special. There was a great camaraderie amongst the South Coast boys and the Hunter Central Coast boys after the game as well. So they really enjoyed their time there. More people need to see it. More promotion needs to happen next year. This can become something spectacular. It's got to be given the focus that one of the highlight events of the entire year. It's probably the second most important game after grand final day for the region. And if we manage to all pull our heads together, everyone take a little bit of the slack, then I reckon we've got something really special with our representative fixtures. So great job this year. Let's get it even better next year. That's what I reckon.
Yeah, well done, Emily and team. It was a fantastic effort.
Yeah,
all right, moving on to round 15 with the women's. We start off down at Warners Bay. They host the Singleton Roosters. So that is two teams in the bottom part of the 8 there. Likewise, the entrance Baddo Bay take on Maitland at Baddo Bay Oval. So both of those are 5th v 8 games. One thing we found out after the game, Chop, on Saturday was something that we weren't aware of, and that the women's finals is actually a 6-team final series. So it's not a locked away top. Well, it is a locked away top 4, but that doesn't mean that the finals are locked away. So we still have those 2 games that are going to actually be quite pivotal, because it's still very close down the bottom end of that table. The Saints are on the bottom of that table, but they're only 2 games behind Warners Bay. And then Roosters and Entrance Baddo Bay sort of a couple of extra games ahead. So anything can happen. So that will be exciting to see. We then have Terrigal taking on Cardiff. That is a 3rd versus 4th game, although I think Cardiff will start that as pretty heavy favourites, whilst Terrigal are sitting in the 4th spot there. The gulf between the top 3 and then the rest is pretty high. And that brings us to the number 1 sports ground at midday tomorrow, when Newcastle City hosts Killarney Vale Bombers in what is a top-of-the-table clash, a replay of last year's grand final. It was at this ground. And could it be if we fast forward a few weeks, could it be a bit of a foreteller for this year's grand final? We're going to find that all out tomorrow. We haven't been back to number 1 with coverage since last year's grand final, and I've got to say, I'm pretty bloody excited. What are you thinking about tomorrow, Chop?
Yeah, well, have you got anything you want to add, Ollie, before I just go blah, 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 blah?
No, I'm all right, mate. You take it away. I'm pretty good. I'm just excited to see what it looks like, so I'll be following along.
Very good. Have you got an appointment tomorrow?
Yeah, I do. I'm at Warners Bay and Roosters at midday. So
all right, very good. Well, good game to be at, mate, because all of a sudden those games, anybody not in the top 4, all of a sudden they take on a brand new level of importance. And I've got to say, Shane, I'm kind of happy that we were in the dark about this top 6 thing, because it's made it all of a sudden a bit of a surprise. We eagerly watch the Final 4. And with no buys in the women's competition, this is the beauty of no buys, of having even teams, because top six, great initiative, by the way. That was Emily Brown's idea, and I think it's fantastic. A great way to give all the girls a little bit of exposure to finals, and I think it's going to help close the gap a little bit between the emerging sides and the top sides. So all of a sudden, two of those bottom four sides that have had tough years overall, I guess, are going to have a chance to play finals. So their season's going to go a little bit longer. And, whether it goes beyond the first week doesn't matter. They get a chance to play finals, and that's exciting. And that means Maitland, the Entrance Batter Bay, Singleton, and Warners Bay, they're all in with a shot. They're all in with a shot. So the last four games all of a sudden are so important for all of those teams, and they take on a new level of importance. So well done there. I can't wait to see the results of those. I know who I think.
And I suppose just to spell that out for the viewers, you could finish sixth. You could be, say, a Singleton, for example, and finish sixth and still win the flag. Everything's got to go right. You've got to have three wins on consecutive weekends there at the end of the year.
Yep.
But it can happen. You can keep the dream alive. You can be a first year club like the Entrance Batter Bay, and you could be playing in a grand final. A lot's got to go right, but it's still exciting. I love it.
A really bad case of gastro goes through half the entire team of the top three.
We don't wish that on any of our teams. But tomorrow we are going to see a potential grand final. Forecast. Tell us your thoughts on City versus Kalani.
It's going to be great, isn't it? I mean, look, Kalani Vale I think they've won one each so far this year, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
No, I think it's 2-0 to Kalani Vale. Kalani Vale's only loss was the other week against Cardiff. So
that's right, was 2. Sorry, my apologies. Apologies, Bombers girls. Don't lynch me over that. Because I know they'll be very protective of that record. They want to make sure that I get that right. Okay, so they've got 2-1, and they're going to the coalface. They're going into the furnace up there at Newcastle number 1. They'll be coming up against some of those representative players, and there was a good portion of Kalani Vale and Newcastle City girls in those representative sides. So they were all teammates last week, and this weekend they're going to want blood. And of course, Kate Hanley was the coach of the reps, and I think she should be playing. So that's going to be a bumper contest. It really is. And make no mistake, this will be first blood drawn come the final series. So if you had to bet your life on it, you'd probably say it's likely going to be a Kalani Vale Newcastle City grand final. But Cardiff, they're definitely players in that. So take nothing against Cardiff. But if you're going to bet your life, that's probably where you would go. And I think the final series, certainly spots in the grand final, if not the premiership itself, starts getting played tomorrow with this game. That's what I think. I think psychologically, the result tomorrow is going to have a huge bearing on the finals process. So which way it's going to go, I don't know. Newcastle are going to be pumped to get one up against them tomorrow. They really will. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, I agree. I think the break probably came at a good time for Kalani Vale. They had a bumper first 12 rounds, and then the last couple of weeks, rounds 13 and 14, it felt as though there's probably just been a little bit of a tail off. They lost that game against Cardiff. They've had some tough conditions to play with there too, because we know Adelaide Street's been a bit of a mud hole too. So there's no doubt some tired legs from running around. So I think that week off will suit Kalani Vale. That being said, a few of their team did play last Saturday, as you mentioned in the rep game, as did the City girls. I'm excited to see what some of those girls that didn't get a run in the rep squad, what they do tomorrow, especially with Kate Hanley lining up against Kate Hanley. They might have a point or two to prove against the coach that didn't pick them the week before. And, maybe Nikita Carter's go out there with a little bit of something to prove and turn it on and light up number 1. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plans out. I really want to see, after what I think has been a couple of flat weeks for Kalani Vale, I really want to see them now building back up to the final. I think it's naturally, there's nothing wrong with having a bit of a tail-off period. In fact, the loss to Cardiff probably helped them. They've been the last couple of seasons undefeated through the minor round, only to fall over at the biggest day of the year. So you get that loss out the way in the minor round and build yourself to finals. I'd be interesting to see how Kalani Vale approach the next 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah, good call. I think it's a mind game. It'll be a mental barrier most of all for the Killarney Vale girls because of what's happened in recent seasons. They've set themselves up as a yardstick again. They've shown that the equal, if not, they've got the better of Newcastle City so far this year. Newcastle City just so well drilled, and even when under pressure, they sort of find a way to push through. But tomorrow's game between those, it's probably the match of the day of the two between the men's and the women's games. The women's game's definitely going to be the one that a lot of eyes will be on. And it'll be a real shootout, I think. They've got a lot of big goal kickers. Sabrina Cleusis, who didn't play reps either. I don't know if she just missed out or she wasn't right, but she was an emergency. But she's sitting second behind Killarney Vale, who their player there is on top of the ladder, of course, with five out in front. I think they're full forward there. So they're going to be a lot of multiple goal kickers. Of course, Mia Wilson as well. Kate Hanley's kicked a few this year, so it's going to be a shootout. I reckon it's just going to be a goal fest. I reckon, and on the paper, I think Killarney Vale Bombers have just got a little bit more firepower up forward overall.
So you're going to take Killarney for the win, I take it? Is that you're leaning towards Killarney Vale? And what's your margin, Chop?
If they didn't have the couple of weeks leading into it, I would have said Killarney Vale easily. But Newcastle City, number one sports ground. Oh man, it's a tough one. I don't know. I'm going to say Killarney Vale only because I've seen Killarney Vale play more than I've seen Newcastle City, and Newcastle City contingent on the weekend were really good. Their girls were really good. So, oh man, Angelica Diamond, we could see her play. I don't know. KV by 2 points.
KV by 2 points. Ollie, what do you think for the game?
Look, I think it's like Chop said. Look, I would be putting my money on Killarney Vale. I saw them play against Cardiff, which was their only loss for the year, and that was a close loss. It wasn't necessarily a flogging that day. So I think that just shows that they've got that grit and determination about them. But then at the same time, a lot is on the line for City. They can draw nearly equal on the ladder with Killarney Vale, or put them equal on the ladder. And so there's a lot there for City. They'll have the home crowd on their side. Maybe that plays an advantage. We'll see. But as you said, it's definitely the one to be on Bar TV because it is match of the round. So
yeah, it's massive, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, I might take, if you two have taken Killarney Vale, I might take City by 7 points. So
all right,
that's
fair
my
enough.
tip
All
too.
Right.
Looking ahead to the men's, sorry, go Chop.
Krispy Kreme on the highest goal kicker.
Krispy Kreme on it. There we go.
You want to jump in on this, Ollie? I've already gone too.
I think I'm good, mate.
You don't like Krispy Kreme donuts? All right, what do you like? Red Frogs?
I don't know, Chop. Maybe like a big bag of caramel bears. That would be nice.
There we go.
Look,
he might have them there ready to go. Well, look at it.
I've been eating them all night. Where do they go? They're in here somewhere. I've got a bag of them and killer pythons. I love it. All right, let's do that. Let's do a bag of caramellos.
There we go.
Sounds good.
I'm going to say Akka. Akka's going to win.
So this is for most goals. Most goals, you're taking Akka?
Yep.
I'm going to take... who are you going to take, Ollie, while I work out who I'm going to take? Hold on. Because I think I know who I'm going to take. I've got a choice of two, and I'm really just...
I don't know.
I'm going Christian Brown. I'm looking at him. I'm going to...
All right, locked in. All right, leading goal kicker. And Ollie?
I don't know many of the players, Chop.
All right. Well, I reckon... Should we help him out?
Well, I think he goes if anyone that we haven't said, so anyone that's not either Crystal or Akka, he gets the rest.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, all right then. But if you win and it's one of them, I get at least one of your caramel koalas. But one from each bag, one from Shane's bag and my bag. So. All
right.
Yeah.
Deal. And then you can have the whole field.
That's it. No pressure on Akka to get the win for Corey. And maybe just give her a word before the game tomorrow too, Chop.
Yeah,
there's a bag of caramellos on the line.
I'll go in hand. I'm not sure if she's over 18. I imagine she has to be, otherwise her mum will get the Six Strings Brewery voucher tomorrow. So I'll have that with me for all the Killarney Vale Bombers players out there and Newcastle City players. I think City have only got one player got one so far. So
we've only seen them the once, I think. So yeah, they can't have more than.
They got two. We got 2 games in a row from Bar TV on them, so there's a few up for grabs. So, but we'll have come and see us up at the commentary box tomorrow, you players, and we'll have your vouchers. So come on up. Just bring your ID, please. Bring your ID.
The Newcastle City Blues, obviously, in the men's as well. I haven't seen them play for that long. I forgot what colour shirts the Blues wear, but we'll find out tomorrow.
I've seen the name. It gives you away the name. But I get it. That was a joke.
So moving into the men's game, we talk about the City Blues. Although that being said, just bringing up this comment here from our good friend Morkel Yor, who loves to comment there. Maybe they're going to be wearing red tomorrow. Coach Mitch Crawford selected 5 Rangers for tomorrow's clash.
So maybe they should be called the Newcastle City Reds tomorrow.
Well, there you go. So maybe we're going to have a clash. Maybe there's a clash strip with the Bombers.
Can we guess who they are? It'll be the 2 Millers for sure.
Oh, I can't remember hair colours well enough to know who they are. But there you go. We'll have it. We can play a game of Spotto tomorrow. You can spot the Ranger on the coverage. That'll be from 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon.
Tell me now, Michael Hendry come up fit for it tomorrow. He was great in the reps. I was stoked to see him there. He was part of the great wall across half back for the men's last week.
Yeah, he was good, and that sneaky little goal of Mitch Crawford was a good one as well. That was that sort of helped things out. So
wasn't it? Trademark Crawford.
Yeah, so. Yep. Now we're talking about. We're having a bit of a joke about the caramellos and the bets or whatever. We've got a couple of bets that are still live, and the Newcastle City boys have been some of our biggest supporters for this, but we haven't given away the 6-pack or the whatever it is for I can't remember what we've got on the line, for the goal kick from behind the halfway line. Haven't we still got that as a live thing? And we haven't got a drop kick greater than 20 metres as well. So, City boys, if you're watching this tonight, just keep that in your mind. And now's your time to shine. You haven't had the spotlight on you, but a goal from behind the halfway line or the drop kick from more than 20 metres out could net you a little bonus prize.
Yeah, and this is open also for the KV boys as well.
Of course.
There's a few likely sorts there. They can kick. I reckon Ryan Arthur or Luke Flack could kick it from halfway. If it didn't go all the way, they'd be the type they move so quick. They run to that spot, kick it, and it'll probably bounce through. And Flacky kicked one like that in reps, didn't he? Just about.
He did. I don't think it was from far enough out. He didn't get the number. So there we go. Noah McDonald reckons he's got it. Easy peasy.
Wait, did you see Noah's kicking on in reps? He's got it for sure. He kicked about 80 metres 6 times. Every re-entry kick, he kicked it to half forward. It was amazing. You got it, Noah. I'm backing you in, mate. Yep.
There we go. We better take another voucher. Bring another voucher with you. We might be giving it away tomorrow by the sound of it. So there you go. How good's that?
Let him have it. Give him the shot.
Now, putting aside the frivolities and the fun, this game will be an interesting game, and I think it'll be interesting because it's going to be interesting to see what team comes up the highway from Killarney Vale. They've been flat the last few weeks. Their season really is done. There's no chance of making the 4, and they've been blown off the park. We saw them very competitive against Cardiff 3 or 4 weeks ago, and since then they've been blown off the park and had a couple of losses that maybe you wouldn't normally expect from a Corey Shackleton coach team. So I'm going to be interested to see which Killarney Vale shows up tomorrow, because they are a fierce club with a great history, and it'll be interesting to see what they bring tomorrow, because I don't want to see a one-sided game. I want to see a good clash, because when these two teams are in top form, they give us some entertaining football, and that's what I want to see tomorrow. So I'm hopeful of seeing a refreshed Killarney Vale after a week off. Luke Flack with a rep medal around his neck, and hopefully that brings a bit of something to the ground tomorrow, and we get ourselves a good game. What are you thinking, Chop?
Yeah, well, I'll put the challenge out to the I think during the rep commentary, the challenge out to the Killarney Vale boys. They've still got plenty to play for. I mean, they've got I feel for them. It's been a disappointing year. They've got a good squad. Just lot of injuries at really critical times of the year, and bits and pieces have worked against them a little bit. But I think they'll show up tomorrow. They've got to play for. Look, they've got Lloydie, the spoon man, is there on leading goal kicker, but he's two goals in front of Mitch Crawford, and both of those guys are going to bookend the field tomorrow. They may not play finals this year, but they can salvage something. Luke Flack's got the representative medal. He's the Andrew Scott, the inaugural Andrew Scott medalist, which is a huge honour and so well done. He'll play his heart out tomorrow. Ryan Arthur was a gun in the reps, especially in the second half. He just exploded. So he's back in the side now. Hayden Mahallam is now a representative footballer as well. He's just a big beast of a bloke and does his trademark one smother per game, which is the game-saving smother. I can't wait to see which part of the game he's going to do that tomorrow. And Brandon Lloyd, of course, he played up forward. So there's 4 Bombers in the rep side, and they were all amongst the top performers, I thought, on the day. And we know how good their side is across the board. So they could come up. They could still affect the finals. Like, this is a must-win for Newcastle City, and you expect that they will. They're preparing for the finals, and I'm really looking forward to seeing them play leading into the finals. But the truth of the matter is, the Blues can't afford to drop one between now and the end of the year. I think they ended up with the least number of games in the last 5 rounds or something out of the top 3. Warners Bay only had 3 all up. So they need, for match ratio, they've got to win them all. And they come up against Cardiff and Terrigal between now and the end of the year. I think they come up against...
And of course, Cardiff. we get round 1 because we didn't have round 1. So they will play Killarney Vale again. So they get two cracks at Killarney Vale this week, and then in another 4 weeks' time, they'll have another crack at them.
Now, just imagine Killarney Vale happen to get up, and even if Killarney Vale make it a tight tussle, percentage is going to play a part now in this, because there's likely that 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 teams will finish off with the same match ratio, wins and losses, and that means it'll come down to percentage at the end of the day. That could occur. So not just that they win, it's how much they win by. So and the good thing for Newcastle City, they've got the most amount of goal kickers in the top 20. So I think they've got 6 or 7 boys in the top 20 goal kickers. So they've got a wide range of goal kickers, which is going to put them in really good stead. If one's not on, then they've got plenty of others that are going to back it up. But in their best interest to have all their goal kickers on tomorrow, and they want to get a big score. So the Bombers still have a part to play. They can really shape the top 4. Who's going to get the double chance and who's not? Because it could be any one of those. I think the top 3 are the ones that are fighting out for the second chance. And Warners Bay, because I think they've got 3 games or 2 games left or something. So
yeah, that being said, you do not want to be the team that plays Warners Bay in the first week, because they are playing some mighty good footy as well. So
yeah, I don't think not having the double chance is going to make a difference to Warners Bay at the end of the day. Yeah. I think they'll probably do better playing every week, but
just go out there and win every week. Now, Ollie, you've probably seen more of City this year with running around the boundary than we have on Bar TV.
Oh yeah.
Who are you picking from City team to tear it up tomorrow and maybe give us a bit of action out in the field?
Mitch Crawford, coming off representative footy, I reckon that will have him fired up. The captain, he's on his home turf. He's going to lead his team in valiantly to fight. They're not going to look at Killarney Vale and go, oh, they're down the bottom. We're going to use this round as a round to just, really play a good footy, but not waste ourselves. They're going to go, right, there's Killarney Vale. We're going to take him by the horns and just do our best footy. And it'll be good to watch. It will be supremely good to watch with the size of number 1 sportsground, the crowd. Like Mitch Crawford, he just brings that aurora or aroma, whatever you want to call it, of just static energy, just
maybe both. Maybe he's got a vision and a smell about him.
Well, maybe we'll get you out there for a bit of roving chop after the game and give him a quick sniff chop, see what he's like.
I'll check his aura. I'll check his aura by sight and then his aroma by nose. I'll go down there and see how that is.
Might have said the wrong word there, okay?
He said the right words. It's good.
No, we're all for it, Ollie. We're backing it. We're backing it.
Good call on that, Ollie. That's a good call. He'll be on fire tomorrow, Mitch. And on that note, mate, I want to put the invite out to all the goal kickers tomorrow to give us a celebration that we can remember and talk about, because We've seen a couple of good goal celebrations in recent times. I still want to go and find out what Will Gretz's little celebration was when he did that little thing. It's like a baby shark or something. So I want to see a few more of those. There'll be a lot of goals kicked tomorrow, so I want to see some celebrations.
All right, well, I'll make sure I've got the camera going in tight on the goal kicker after each goal. So there's your challenge. Both teams get into it. Just before we have a quick look at the other two games being played tomorrow, I'm going to take City by 27 points. Ollie, what are you thinking?
Yep, City by, I'd go higher. Maybe, no, sorry, I'll go lower. I reckon City will go by about 20 points. I reckon Klein will put up a fight.
I think City will comfortably. I'm going to go 30, 35 for Newcastle City. Can't wait to see Jason Pongrasic. I've been looking forward to this. We saw him in the first game we called, and not since. And Jordan Deere, and Bailey Cullen wearing the Travis Cloak glove tomorrow, coming off injury. Watch out! Is that going to fine tune his goal kicking boot? Of course, Bailey Cullen's in the top 10, I think. One of 5 or 6 or 7 Blues in the top 20 goal kickers, and he's been a creamy, I think they call him. Is that right, Noah? Creamy Cullen. So he's I'm looking forward to seeing him as well. But they're two big recruits in Jordan Deere and Jason Pongrasic. I'm looking forward to seeing them in fine form because they've been amongst their best.
Well, and we haven't seen Pongrasic because we only saw him in his first game, I think, or the first or second game, and I think he was still finding his feet in the league. I think any time you transfer a league, it takes a couple of weeks to get a feel for the pace, and it'll be interesting to see how he's playing now.
We've hit round 15. Had such a big game that day, Shane, too, didn't he? Like he kind of stole the show a little bit, Mark.
He did, yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. So. We weren't working out who was going to be bigger, the big pong or the big dig.
Big dig, that's it. Now, speaking of the big dig, he has a rest this week, Warners Bay, with the bye. The entrance Baddo Bay take on the Saints. We haven't got Ash on the line tonight. He's tied up with some family stuff, but he did reach out to me during the week and he said, Shane, you know what? I'm going to take the entrance Baddo Bay to win this one. He thinks with Maitland's injuries, huge respect for the Maitland team. Let me just put out there, but he reckons the entrance Baddo Bay, they might see a wounded Maitland as a bit of a target and maybe have a crack at them. And you know what? I've got to agree with Ash. I think if entrance Baddo Bay are going to have a second win for the year, I think this could be the week.
Well, sorry.
Just want to add it's at Baddo Bay's home ground as well. So
it is.
Again, Maitland travelling down the highway, it'll be interesting to see. So.
Yeah, safe bet. I think it's a good call. They will throw everything into this. The entrance Baddo Bay, I can assure you, and of course Pat Murphy and Ryan Besley, two of the finest midfielders in the competition at the moment. They will be leading them. They've got a very able goal kicker in Taff Lewis as well. He's a bit of an unsung superstar for my mind. They've got a great developing ruckman in Big Ben Gibbons. If they've got all of those, I quite like Kyle Lawther as a player too. I think he's a big, strong physical presence, and he's coming along really nicely. And then a whole host of young guns, Max Atiri, and I think Sammy Oster might be playing. There's a bunch of them playing. Declan, I can't remember his last name as well. He was another fellow coach a couple of years ago in 15s. He's another great player. So they've got a lot of youngsters coming through. Yeah, I reckon that's a safe bet. If Maitland have really been hammered with injuries. Sam Jordan is just a weapon, though, and he's one of the best. I don't know how he gets to so many contests. He's just so good. He's quick. In fact, that's the one thing we missed from the weekend was the sprint off between Flack and Jordan. And I reckon we might have to have a word to to Emily at the league and see if we can't get ourselves a grand final sprint on grand final day and get Sam Jordan running off against Luke Flack and anyone else that wants to jump in and join that race, because I think we still haven't answered that question of who's the fastest. Shane, do you reckon if I started at the 50-metre mark and they all started at the 100-metre mark, do you reckon they would run me down over 100 metres?
Well, they'd run me down. I'd guarantee you that. I don't know how fast you can run, Trot, but I'd need to start about 20 metres out from the finish line to have any chance.
If you put 6 Krispy Kreme donuts at the finish line, mate, I'll beat them. I'll start at 120 metres and still beat them.
I was about to say a carton of 6 strings and maybe I'll go 150, but we'll see.
Yeah.
that would be an interesting game.
I don't know who else is in though. Like Zach Stewart's still on concussion protocol, is he?
Not sure. Anyway, we'll cover that next week. We'll give a bit of a wrap up next week. The other game, because we do have to wrap things up pretty soon. The other game we've got happening.
I'm going to pick Batto as well.
You're going to pick Batto? Okay, there we go.
Sorry,
Ollie, you taking Batto or you taking Mayland?
I'll take Badu. I'll join the club. Sorry, I just said Badu. I don't know where my mum is or if she's watching, but whenever I always say Badu instead of Batto, it's one of those weird things.
Badu,
yeah. So I just got to remember to call it Batto.
Speaking of mums, there'll be another mum, Debbie King, watching the other game, which is Cardiff versus Terrigal. We had a great chat with Debbie after the game.
Yeah, how nice was that?
Yeah, it was real good. So shout out to the whole King family, and thank you for coming up and saying hello. It was we always love having a bit of a chat, and that was really good. So Max and the Cardiff team will be heading down the road to Hilton Moor, and there's probably no tougher challenge in the league at the moment than to go down and play Terrigal Avoca. That's going to be an interesting game.
Massive.
Yeah.
Massive in the context of it. Like, there's another massive one for Terrigal next week as well. I think, yeah, there is. And they're just the last 4 rounds have got a big, massive blockbuster in every round, pretty much. And yeah, this is huge in the context of it. This is another one, a little bit like the psychological leg up going into the finals. You know, they've got one apiece, I think, Cardiff and Terrigal so far this year, and both have been very, very close in tough conditions, I believe. We've finally got some dry weather. It's been beautiful. A little taste of summer down here on the Central Coast a little bit the last couple of days here anyway. So that's going to be just great. Both teams will be just desperately wanting some nice dry weather, big expansive ground. They've got runners, they've got prime movers, and that's going to be huge to see how that goes. So all the players rested pretty much. There wasn't a huge contingent of players from Terrigal and Cardiff in the representative games. Only Max King from Cardiff, and of course Captain Jack Grimman and Adam Miller. So all were just sublime in reps, and will be up and about for this one. So you're going to see 2 fresh top 4 sides, 1 and 2, and I think the top spot is up for grabs by the winner potentially.
Yeah, I think it will be. That being said, Terrigal Avoca do have a game or 2 up their sleeve. So, but yeah, you're right.
Win by enough, they'll get the top spot, but they have to win by a margin because the percentage is there's a differential in the percentage. If Terrigal win, they're going to be very hard to take the top spot off.
Agreed.
It's going to be hard anyway, but they're going to be tested tomorrow because.
And who are you going to tip there, Chop?
You know, I've tipped against Terrigal on a number of occasions, and they've made me look silly this year. And I feel, you know, I'm trying to be bipartisan because, you know, that's my club. I'm a life member there, so I know all the boys relatively well. But I feel they've outperformed what I would have expected from them this year, and it's amazing. They're as hard as any team at the ball, and the ball carrier, Terrigal, I think, and then I've seen all year. But I think we saw Cardiff look like they're just about to show us what they're all about as well, in time for finals. So I don't know. It's like an unmovable object and a juggernaut coming against each other. So I've backed against them all year, so I'm going to turn it around Terrigal by 8 points. And
Ollie, who are you thinking?
Cardiff by 7. I reckon Cardiff are going to get the W tomorrow.
I'm going to go Cardiff by 15. So there you go.
Okay.
Now that wraps up our Black Diamond Cup. Just a shout out there in the grade below, and thank you, Ashley, for putting this one through to us. Lee Moore, and Ashley has corrected his spelling, but it doesn't come up on the comment. So spell check got him there. But congrats to Wyong Lake Steward, Lee Moore, for his 250 games, and also Chris Faulkner out at Singleton, who played 200 the week before last.
Has he got any more? Has he got any more in him after the 250? Do you reckon?
There's always one more season, isn't there? You can always play one more season.
Yeah, one more, Lee Moore. Yeah, Lee Moore, one more. That was a bad joke. I'm not going to finish on that.
So that's I can hear my dinner being placed on the table. It's time for us to wrap up. There we go. Chop's got the heat and eat ready to go. I don't know what Mum's made for you, Ollie. Hopefully it's something nice and nutritious. You got a big day running around the boundary down at Warner's Bay tomorrow. It's been fantastic again, guys. I love having a Friday afternoon chat with you. Ashley, I can't wait to see you tomorrow. We kick off from midday for the Women's Black Diamond Cup and then 2 p.m. for the Men's Black Diamond Cup, both coming to you live, free and exclusive on Bar TV. Get yourself onto Bar TV, get yourself to the ground, and then put Bar TV in your ear so you can listen to all the commentary.
For sure. Why would you be anywhere else?
Well, you wouldn't. Number one sports ground. I think it's the best ground in the league. I love going to number one. I think it's got that grandeur, that sort of sense of excitement. I can't wait to be there tomorrow, boys. I'll see you there.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, thanks, Shane. Thanks, Ollie. Great to have you on board tonight, fellas. Yeah, I can't wait. How good is footy? Get into it.
Absolutely. Thanks, boys. See you, Shane. See you, Corey.
Guys.